Hello guys, here Mr. Merlos greeting you all. This video is a short explanation about the content of the week 18 and 19 that are the weeks that we didn't um, developed right for the situation of the emergency. So you had to be checking that this study for the midterm. Especially because the midterm is going to be different this time. They're going to be evaluating the different types of paragraphs that we have studied at the beginning of the third term, the term number 3. So all of this information will be more about content than practice for the last midterm. So you have to be ready for a test with multiple choice answers and try to answer the correct right by getting the correct option or answering right the question in the correct way. So that's what you had to know about the evaluation. So let's start with this video about the two topics. One is the persuasive paragraph, and the intro right talks about this. Have you ever needed to persuade others to do something? Have you checked all sides of an issue before you take a position? Are you often able to convince your friends of your opinion? In this lesson, you will learn to write persuasive paragraph. You will learn how to express and support your arguments, no matter if you have opposing arguments or not, and how to convince the reader of your point of view. The achievement indicators are to identify the elements of the persuasive writing and compose a persuasive paragraph. But in this time, you're not going to do that because we don't have evaluation for this week. Then, do actions speak louder than words? So let's talk about the persuasive paragraph. This type of paragraph tries to change the reader's mind about something or to persuade the reader to agree with the writer's point of view. Let's talk about what a paragraph is, right? In the development of the ideas, a paragraph is often defined as a group of related sentences or complete ideas in which one single main idea is developed. In a typical paragraph, the first sentence declares the main topic of the paragraph, and the rest of the sentences develop or support the main idea. So we have the words, we have sentences, and after that we create the paragraph. Let's talk about things to know about persuasive paragraph. First, number one, the first sentence should lay out the writer's point of view on the topic at hand. Number two, supporting sentences should back up the opinion with logic. Number three, all claims should be able to be supported with evidence. If you take into account these points, you will be able to write a good persuasive paragraph. Considerations before writing the persuasive paragraph. Making you want to do or believe a particular thing. Number one, which audience are you trying to persuade? Think about who is your audience. Number two, be kind and respectful. The words right you use for addressing people are important. Number three, introduce your argument in the first paragraph, right? Number four, support your arguments with at least 3 pieces of evidence. Evidence is necessary for all of the points. If not, right, you won't sound convincing. Number five, show that you understand the different sides of your arguments. And number six, ask questions. Number seven, finish your argument with a strong closing statement. It's necessary always to show what is your opinion, right, about the information you have stated in the paragraph. In this case, is a personal statement because you have to convince the person that your opinion is the best. Persuasive paragraph tries to convince the reader of something. This type of paragraph is used in editorials and columns. A direct approach is the best in writing a persuasive paragraph. Example is that spring is the best season. First, spring is colorful, flowers of all kinds begin to bloom, and even some trees have colorful buds. Next, with spring comes warmer weather. While some days are still chilly, the wind has lost its winter bite, allowing people to get outside more often. Finally, spring has pleasant noises of all kinds. In some places, one can hear the peeping of frogs and the song of whippoorwill at the night. One To one's eyes, skin, and ears, the best season of the year is spring. So you see how the person states right the point about the what he or she wants to convince you. The evidence are the supporting ideas that are giving the reasons why spring is the best season, and then right at the end trying to convince you, saying right that all of this is a proof that that season is the best. Persuasive writing techniques. The persuasive writing techniques are the written form of an oral debate. It is very important for you to learn this style of writing to convince the reader that your opinion of a topic is correct. The selection of the appropriate technique or correct words is the most important detail while writing persuasively. It is very important that the reader understand that the writer wants to say. It has to have logical and strong arguments in order to achieve the goal of the paragraph. Before studying the techniques directly, it is important to know the key elements that form the persuasive technique. Usage of persuasive words, including the elements of persuasive writing technique. Emotive language. There are words used to create an emotional impact or response from the audience purposely. Example, disastrous news will not only get worse unless we do something about it. So you see how that disastrous news is giving more emotion right to the news. If you say only the news or this situation, so it's very plain in comparison to using the emotive language. Also, we think about inclusive language. If the writer makes a statement that claims to agree with the audience, this is called inclusive language. This can also make the audience deeply engaged, thus making them agree with the answer. Inclusive words can be, for example, the pronouns us, we, you, or ours. Example, it is time for us to change our consumption culture. So it's talking about all of us. The evidence, there are three main types of evidence. It can be anecdotal, that has to do with personal experience. The expert opinion, someone who is someone knowledgeable about the topic, and we get information from them. Or a statistical evidence, that is information from researchers that have numbers that we can use to show the relationship between the phenomenon and the reality. Example, there is a huge expansion of waste and pollution arising from both production and consumption. This is something anecdotal because it's just a personal opinion. We had to consider the formal language use. This technique makes the author sound knowledgeable and removes emotion from the situation. It can also be more extensive and sophisticated use of language. Look at the example. Scientists predict that at least a third and as much as 2/3 of the world species could be on their way to extinction by the end of this century. So you see the tone is a scientific explanation. Rhetorical question. This question is asked in order to create a dramatic effect or to make a point rather than to get an answer. The purpose is not to get an answer but to give stress on a point. Example, do we want our children growing up in a world where people need to buy oxygen like water is bought nowadays? So we don't want the answer of this question, right? What we want is to state a point about that situation. Using exaggerations on hyperbole. This is an extreme exaggeration used to make a point for emphasis or humor. Exaggerating the scale is an issue that can draw an emotional response of a reader. Example, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Obviously you won't because you don't have the space to do it, but you are exaggerating, you are using a hyperbole to exaggerate the situation of being hungry. An analogy is a form of reasoning which compares one thing with another in order to make a particular point. Example, life is like a roller coaster. It's full of ups and downs, right? So you compare that situation with something that doesn't have relation with it. Connotation refers to the emotional meanings associated with the words. That this technique helps to suit the purpose of the paragraph. Example, king and slaughter both mean the same thing, but the word slaughter causes the audience to imagine the acts. Metaphors and similes A technique in which a word or phrase is applied to the object or action to which is not literally applicable. There is a direct comparison between the two things, and one becomes the other. Example: he was on a roller coaster of emotions. This is a metaphor, right? Logic and reasoning. It refers to the use of valid argument, development step by step with reasoning and evidence. It has to be. It has to be. Has to be there in justification to support each main point to influence an audience. Example: if you don't have the resources to support an increased population, we can sustain this level of immigration. It's that simple. So here you present the facts, right? Then the evidence, and then write your opinion about it. Okay, so there are some information here for you to check in the content related to that. Some extra information about how to create a topic sentence, how to make supporting details, concluding a sentence, and also some transitional words that can help you to write this information better. Well, I hope you like this information about the persuasive paragraph, guys, and thank you for listening. Take care a lot.